Hey, what's going on, everybody? Jump Rope to Freedom. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the podcast. Podcast number 11. The guest is Billy Werner, the owner of the jump rope company Jump for More and an expert rope jumper. I had the privilege to sit down and talk with Billy for about an hour, and the knowledge and wisdom and advice that he shares on this episode is second to none. And I really appreciate him taking the time to sit down and talk with me. So, with that being said, let's get into it. All right, we're rolling. Billy, thanks a lot for taking the time to be on the podcast. I really appreciate it. I've seen some things you've been doing with the jump rope space. You got some killer skills out there, and I'm looking forward to talking with you, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I can't wait. This is going to be great.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So the first question is, what's your story behind jump rope? How did you get started with it?
Yeah, so like a lot of people, I used to jump rope as a kid in physical education class. But since then, so probably between then and now, it was like a 20-year break, right? Never really thought of jumping rope. And it wasn't until a year and a half ago that I really got into it. And kind of the main thing there is I've had some knee injuries, and I had this training style where it was a lot of calisthenics. So I did a lot of body weight movements, but I was getting sick of running, and doing a lot of running actually hurt my knees as well. So I wanted an alternative form of cardio to do it. And I came across a video on Instagram of someone doing some really cool, unique tricks. And I said right from that point on that I want to learn this. So ever since then, I've been hooked. I'm still hooked, and I plan on doing it for the rest of my life, or until I can't any longer. So that's kind of a little bit of a background. It has been around a year and a half since I did get into it, and then with COVID coming around and all the quarantine and whatnot, I was able to practice a lot. So I worked from home, and then right after I stopped working, I just practiced for hours upon hours. So that's kind of how I got into it. It was kind of good timing in terms of the quarantine and whatnot, because it really gave me some time to really focus on jump rope and really expand my skills there.
Yeah, you've been jumping for a year and a half. That's not so long of a time if you look at how skilled you are, some of the things you're doing, especially with the rope that you have. When I got your rope, I realized just how difficult it can be to use as opposed to another rope if you're not used to it. So that gave me even more respect for your skills, especially having attained such a vast skill set in such a short amount of time. So walk me through what your practice sessions would look like and how you come to learn those skills so quickly.
Yeah, so that's a great question. And to talk about the rope really quickly too, the rope is definitely different. It's not a PVC plastic rope, so you don't get the speed there, but it's not a beaded rope. I would say it's a good mix between the two. You do get some good feedback, but in my mind, you get the speed, you get the kind of control and whatnot of the beaded rope. So I did a lot of trial and error on that rope for months upon months. And the main things that I was looking at is is it durable? Because I've been burned in the past with ropes that just kept on breaking on me. So I wanted a very durable rope. And then I wanted a rope that matched my style of jumping. I love just putting in some good music and freestyling. That's my thing. I want to keep it fun and interesting. And then two, I sometimes do add in just like double unders for a workout when I'm doing those calisthenic sets, and it still can do that as well. So kind of wanted that all around rope, but kind of it's a good segue into what my practice routines look like. Typically, I don't write out my workouts at all. I kind of just go as I feel. Typically, I do start off with jumping rope. So sometimes that's for the full session. Sometimes that's for a little bit just as a warm up. And then I get into the pull ups, the muscle ups, the handstands, all those other exercises. But oftentimes, I do find myself skipping the whole session. I say, oh, I'm going to do pull ups today. And then whenever I pick up that jump rope, I'm so addicted to it. And just like many others, that there's something about it that I just keep on jumping, and an hour and a half, 2 hours go by. And I'm like, man, I got to go home now and eat and then go to bed,
Yeah.
So I would say it's not super structured. I would say, though, that I do listen to my body. That is one thing that I definitely have down pat. If my body's aching, I don't push past. that point. So as far as practice goes too, I would say on average, I practice around 4 to 6 days a week. So I do give my body some rest. I'm not doing it every single day, which I do think helps with preventing injuries and whatnot.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. The practicing, yeah, it can be a little bit difficult to find that time to do it, but it sounds like you were able to capitalize on COVID, which is good, especially with the gyms being closed. You can work from
Yeah.
home and things of that nature. So that's good. I know I
Yeah.
found the same amount of time as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of matched my training style. I mean, I've always been someone that prefers to work out outside, to work out like with just a pull-up bar. You do a lot of push-ups, do jump ropes. So it didn't really affect me with all the gyms closing there. But it has been a great shift in seeing a lot of people take on jumping rope, take on like body weight movements, and take on these workouts that you don't need a fancy gym to go to. You don't need a $3,000 piece of equipment to do a great workout. You know, you just need a good rope and your body weight, and you have a good workout. So another question too that you had that I didn't answer yet is how do I learn tricks?
Yeah.
The main way that I learn tricks is actually something interesting. I don't hear or see anyone talking about this, but I'm not good with going through tutorials and these long tutorials and whatnot. I am a visual learner. So what I do is if I see something on Instagram, mainly that's the platform I'm most active on, I screen record it and then I learn the move. So I break it down step by step, visualize it in my head, and then from there, just practice it. But that does take time to get to. At first, it was just certain footwork pieces. Then it was certain like crosses, and then it was releases. And then once you have that foundation down, after that, it becomes easier to add on more advanced skills.
So that's interesting. I've never heard of someone do that before, recording on Instagram. And then what do? Do you slow it down? Do you slow your recordings down and just watch it like that?
So when you have a video on your phone, right, you have that sliding bar. So you could take your finger on that bar and just like go back and forth. So for me, like visualizing, for example, the EB. So like bringing your hand behind your back. So you're here with the rope, bringing it behind the back, meeting it, and then coming back around. That took me so long to understand. And it wasn't until I screen recorded someone else doing it and really went back and forth, and like just watched it over and over again. That's when it finally clicked. I was like, oh, so that's how it's done, you know, versus I watched some tutorials and that movement was the only movement that I tried to search on YouTube to try to learn. And for some reason, it couldn't click. So once I saw it done a few times, practiced it myself a lot, it became easier. So
yeah, that I've had the same experience with some moves. I had the experience with that move where it's like your mind just can't wrap itself around what your body needs to do. I had the same thing with the backward crossover. Just couldn't understand it at all. But yeah, it was difficult. But then watching people do it, that definitely helped out. Yeah.
Yeah, your backward crosses look great too.
Oh man,
I saw your stuff on YouTube and on Instagram. Yeah, they look good.
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, there's no videos of me struggling to put it together, trying to hit myself in the face with the rope and all that, you know.
But yeah, it's funny you say that. Going backwards with any trick is the worst because the whips are to your face every time, for me at least. Versus when you're going forward, you get them maybe to your back, your legs, but not your face.
Yeah, I know it. It's tough because even with a backward side swing, the chance of hitting your face is so much worse. I've had some times in the gym where I've been hit myself in the face and I had to take a knee for a second, man. I was like, oh man, that hurt, dude.
Yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, man. So talk to me about the company that you started. I'm not sure how long ago you started it and the process and what you're about with the company you started.
Yeah, so we started a few months ago in January of 2021, and it's called Jump for More. And the whole idea behind it is looking at the psychology of working out. So why people work out and why people don't work out. I was fascinated about this. I still am. And I did a lot of case studies. And the main two things that I got was, okay, I don't work out because of the time. I don't have enough time to work out. And then why I work out? Well, it came down to two main reasons. I want to lose weight or I want to gain muscle, which are great goals. Don't get me wrong. Those are good goals. I would classify those as product goals. But I really wanted to get people more focused on process goals. Also, two goals that maybe are beyond themselves, bigger than themselves. So with Jump for More, we do sell jump ropes, and a portion of the proceeds do go to companies that are geared towards helping provide access to clean drinking water. Our main partner is Water is Life, and they have been phenomenal so far. And then we also have another part of the business that deals with training. So mainly online training. We do some in-person training as well. But again, some of the proceeds does go towards funding these projects on helping communities that don't have access to clean drinking water get the access they need. And the reason why we chose water is because when you look at some of the stats, such as 900 million people don't have access to clean drinking water, that's a stat that is causing so many health problems and whatnot. And it's something that we can really try to resolve as soon as possible to help provide access to better healthcare for all. And it's something for me that I've never had to think twice where I would get my clean drinking water from, but to have it be someone else's daily reality just didn't sit well with me. And I actually thought on this idea for around a year, and every single day I thought about it. That stat that kept coming back, it was in the back of my head every single day. 900 million people don't have access to clean drinking water. And that was the real motivating factor to get this company up and running and to connect our passion for jump rope and to try to drive impact and combine the two and make the world a healthier place overall. So year to date so far, we have sold a lot of ropes. The community is growing. It's great, getting a lot of great feedback. And we have donated 80,000 gallons of clean water so far, with plans to do a lot more here in this year, our first year of business.
Man, that is fantastic for somebody to be able to, like what you're doing is thinking outside of yourself and thinking of how you can serve other people. A lot of people don't have that kind of attitude. Where does that come from?
Yeah, for me, that's a good question. For me, it comes from, I've always been someone that tries to put others first around me. I do understand the importance of serving yourself as well, but serving others has always been around me growing up. It's something that my parents instilled me from an early age. And my parents to this day are my heroes. Without them, like none of this would have been able to be come to fruition. Main reason for that is they taught me a lot of the certain skills and mindset things growing up. In particular, one of them being hard work. I've always been taught that effort is a choice. And same thing with business, same thing with giving back, same thing with thinking beyond yourself. It's an effort that the world needs, you know? So again, tying my passion for jump rope, my passion for fitness, and helping provide access to people that want quick workouts and to get to their fitness goals faster, but want to give back as well. That's something that I just had to go all in on. So it's really exciting. Things are going well so far, and I can't wait to see what the growth looks like here in the near future.
I like that. The thing that stuck out with me the most on that, but that was great, was effort is a choice. It's something that you know, but I've never heard somebody put it that way before. And having now that you're the 11th guest to come on here, everybody has advice and these words of wisdom that they put in their own way that I think is excellent. I'm going to remember that. I'm going to write that down afterwards, because you're exactly
awesome.
right, man.
Yeah.
It's a lot of us think that, well, I think that some of us grow up thinking that it's all about the natural talent that you have. But I mean, the effort and the hard work beats talent any day, man.
Yeah. No, that my favorite book also is Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell.
Yeah,
And
great book.
they did a case study where it showed like different sections of musicians, right? Pianists and violinists. And they took good, and it's been quite a while since I read this, but good violinist, good pianist, decent, and then the best, right? And they looked at the number of hours spent practicing their craft before the age of 20, and they noticed that the best of the best practice 10,000 hours. And it kind of goes hand in hand with jump rope, right? Jump rope is a sport. Jump rope is a talent. It's a skill. and it does require a lot of practice. So it's kind of interesting reading that. And I've read that so many times now growing up, and I used to use that mainly for soccer. I grew up playing soccer, but now focusing on jump rope and this skill that I have come to love and so many others have as well. It's definitely an interesting study, and it goes to show that practice does make a better athlete for sure.
No, you're right. I love Malcolm Gladwell. I'm glad you brought that up because he did. I remember that part of the book where he talked about that. He also used, I believe he used the Beatles as a case study. And he said that the Beatles, the main reason why they got so good is because they were playing in Hamburg, Germany, and they just had more opportunities to play than than their contemporaries. And that's how they got so good, because they were playing for like 4 or 5 hours every night, which ultimately resulted them in being one of the best bands of all time.
Yeah. If anyone hasn't read that book, it's a great read. Just talking all about why people succeed, as simple as that, and what are the advantages of certain things. And it's super cool to read, and definitely impacted me. So it's cool that it impacted you as well.
Yeah, Malcolm Gladwell. I think I've read all his books except for the newest one that just came out, Talking to Strangers. I think that came out about a year ago. But yeah, his books are fantastic, man. But yeah, it's good. We got another thing in common there. Malcolm Gladwell, fantastic author, man. But so as far as jump ropes go, what jump ropes do you keep going back to that you keep using every day, your favorites?
Yeah, so when I first started jumping rope, I got into, I had like a plastic rope, right? I got it at Dick's Sporting Goods, and it was great. It served me really well. But after that, I noticed that I wanted to take a step up. And so I got into the beaded rope game, then into the PVC plastic rope game. And those are great. I love those kinds of ropes. We sell at Jump for More a PVC rope. But our main baby, if you will, are these ropes. So it's an actual rope with the hard plastic handles. And like I said before, it does provide a good mix between a beaded rope and a PVC rope. And I've noticed it matches my style really well. It matches a lot of other people's style as well. It does provide a lot of feedback. I would say it's a little bit heavier than, say, a PVC rope or a beaded rope. I would say it's similar in weight. Definitely heavier than those speed CrossFit ropes, that's for sure. But overall, I use this probably 95% of the time. The PVC plastic rope I use when trying to do just maybe a double under workout where I'm bumping out like 100 double unders or whatnot. I could do that with the impact rope, is what they're called, these ropes. But I choose to do them mainly with the plastic ones just because I can go a little bit quicker.
Yeah, I could tell you that rope is good. I remember in the beginning of the podcast, I was saying how it was a little bit more difficult to use. I would take that back. I don't think it's difficult. It's just different. I've never used a rope quite like that before, but I'm enjoying mine. Definitely. I've been using it every day since I've been out there. And the main point that I see on it that's different is the releases, which is why it's hard for me to do releases with it, because I'm used to the PVC, which is why it's a testament to how skilled you are with that you're able to do all the crazy releases and the triple unders that you're doing with it.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it comes down to this as well. So when it comes to certain tricks, everyone is different. Everyone has their unique style. Releases in particular, there's multiple ways to do a release. Different weights, different heights cause different ways of doing things. And one thing that has helped me grow a lot as a jump roper, and I think this could be a valuable insight for a lot of people, is having different lengths of your ropes. Don't always jump with the same length. One way that I do that is I have a little bit longer ropes, and then I just put knots in them and then jump with them so they're a little bit shorter, put another knot in them. What that does is it changes up the timing, but as you get different timings down, it makes your overall jumping way better.
Yeah, I agree with you. The knots are good, and it's also a quick way to adjust your rope without having to cut it, because you might get a rope that's too long for you. I remember people ask me a lot about cross rope and what size to get, and I say you always want to opt for a longer rope and then just use a knot in it, because once you cut, there's no going back from that. That's a commit that you've made that you can't come back from.
Yeah. what we do at Jump for More is we have a sizing chart that we did a lot of research on. And since to this date, all the ropes that we've sold, we've only had one or two complaints on the size of the ropes being too small. And the reason why we like to control that cut to length aspect of them is because of this. If someone were just to get into jumping rope and they ordered an 11-foot rope and they don't ever cut it, their form is going to be terrible the whole time. They're going to be far out wide. They're not going to be able to excel. Versus what we do is we control that height. Granted, the ropes that I use and that have the sizing chart, right, I could go down a lot lower. So the sizing chart does give you some room to grow and to maybe go down, but it is a good starting point. And it does make sure your elbows are in, your wrists are close to your hips, and you're not flailing your elbows out wide. So that's kind of why we like that cut to length aspect here and recommend people to use that sizing chart.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. Sizing chart's always good, so that I see a lot of folks that end up having a long rope and they don't know it. And even in general, if you don't know, if you don't know the basics when you're starting, rope length is the main one. I think it's the biggest mistake that people make in the beginning. Then they think that it's the rope. It's not the rope. It's them, that they don't have the skill when it might be the type of rope they're using or the length of the rope they're using. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to ask you if you saw that too. And I'm glad you brought that up. That's something that I get a lot of questions on is what's the correct jump rope height or jump rope length height. And it's a question that's actually hard to answer in my opinion too. You know, every jumper jumps differently. For example, Floyd Mayweather has a really long rope. Does it service him well? Of course, he's a great skipper. And then there's some other like world-class skippers that have the shortest ropes that I've ever seen, but they utilize that thing so well. So it all depends on the style and kind of what your function is, what your goal is of jumping. So
yeah, I agree. When you talk about the shorter ropes, two people come to mind for me. The first one is Buddy Lee. He uses a much shorter rope. I think it comes up to probably the top of his chest. And then I don't know if you've heard of him, Kyle Easter from Jump 15. He has a YouTube channel, and he has kind of the same philosophy. He uses a cross rope, but he mirrors his style after Buddy Lee, and his cross rope comes up to about the top of his chest, and he is able to do some amazing things with a jump rope.
Yeah, I get a lot of inspiration from those two. That's for sure. They're great.
Yeah.
What question for you? What size do you like to jump rope with?
Yeah, I normally stick around to the handles going to about just below my shoulder. I use that traditional, you step on the rope and then you bring it up.
With 2 feet or 1 foot?
With just 1 foot. Yeah, 1 foot.
1 foot. Okay.
Bring it up. Yeah, that's what I use. Some of my ropes, they go a little bit shorter. I have that same style that you were talking about, the same philosophy and same approach to using different heights of the rope so that I can run the gambit and have a little bit of a variety there. Yeah.
Yeah, I've noticed with my jumping, it definitely helps with the overall timing because jumping is timing. So I train people from just starting out to like a little bit more advanced with jumping. And the main thing that is the issue and like a problem that people have with is the timing. And so I've noticed 2 different rope sizes definitely helps. So not getting used to just one size will help people get better at jumping. That's for sure.
Absolutely. I think with the crosses, it helps to have a little bit longer of a rope because you're having to cover more real estate when you cross over, or you don't want to have to cross all the way because that'll get in the way of the timing. Like you're saying, I think that's one reason that Floyd Mayweather might have a longer rope is because he does that double under crossover. That's his signature move. And that move, I've tried doing that move with a short rope, and it is tough for me to do. I haven't been able to do it.
Yeah. No, you make a good point. He's really slick with those. That's for sure. I love that movement.
Yeah, it's a great one. I'm not sure how long it took you to get that move down, but it took me. I tried it the first time a couple months after I started jumping, right when I got the double under down pretty well, and I could not figure it out. I gave it up, tried it again 2 months later, gave up on it, and then tried it again for the third time a couple months later. And then I finally was able to get it. How long did it take you to get that one?
So that one, I would say wasn't one that took me super long. I would say the hardest trick that probably gave me the most trouble was the mic release. So just releasing the handle with one hand and catching it. One way that I learned that though is, again, watching someone else do it. And then I sat in front of the TV watching news or watching some YouTube videos or listening to a podcast and just practice nonstop for at least 2 weeks until it felt comfortable. And then I started adding it into combos. So I'm one to learn one trick at a time, not to like overstimulate my brain with too many tricks to learn, but just really focus hard on one trick and then move on to the next one once I got that one, and then move on to the next one. And eventually you come with, you have like 5, 6, 7 tricks to do, and you can combine a combo of all of them. So no, but the double crossover is definitely interesting. Definitely need crosses down really, really easily, and then doubles really easily to be able to kind of work your mind around the trick itself. And I don't know how you do it. There's 2 ways to do it. Do you do, and I know there's terms, the open cross or the cross open. I don't know if that's the correct term for the second one.
Yeah, I break it down. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, for the listeners who might not know, it's essentially if you cross first and then you double, or if you double and then cross. So it's just different style.
Yeah. There's 2 ways to do it. I found that the easiest way for me to learn it was to do it the way Floyd Mayweather does it, when you cross on the way up and uncross on the way down, because the crossing movement is the most difficult part of the movement. And once you're able to get that, my philosophy on that is if you can get the hardest part of the trick out of the way first, then it's all gravy from there. On the way down, you uncross. And the way that I distinguish, because I do it both ways, but I prefer the Floyd Mayweather version. The way that I distinguish between the two is I call the cross on the way up and uncross on the way down the Floyd Mayweather version. And then the cross on the way down, the opposite of the Floyd Mayweather version, I call it the Sugar Ray Leonard version, because that's how Sugar Ray Leonard did it back when he was boxing in the 80s. Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Are you a boxer yourself?
No, I never got into boxing. My parents definitely wouldn't have let me. They definitely wouldn't have let me. Yeah. It's something that these days, because when you get into jump rope, it's almost like boxing comes with it. So I've started watching old boxing films and gotten into it, and it would have been cool to try it, but I never got into it. I'm just in the history of it and watching old fights and things like that. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah,
love that.
Yeah, watching the old guys. If you ever get a chance, you should watch. See, because I live in Detroit now, and Joe Louis, the boxer from like the 1930s and 40s, he was from Detroit, so he's probably my favorite boxer. But old fights from back in the 30s, 40s, those are probably the best ones overall. Yeah.
All right. I'm going to have to check them out, and I'll let you know.
Yeah, you can check them.
Awesome.
Check them on YouTube. Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis, probably before Muhammad Ali, probably the greatest heavy. I think he's better than Muhammad Ali overall, probably the greatest, in my mind, the greatest fighter ever. But it's cool because in boxing, you got all these different eras, so you could never have Joe Louis and Muhammad Ali fight one another. It would never be possible, but that's the beauty of it, I think.
Yeah, I'm not as fluent in boxing as I want to be, but getting into jumping rope definitely has interested me more into the sport itself. And one thing that I've learned as well is the boxers utilize skipping a lot, right? Jumping rope a lot. And I grew up playing soccer, and I think playing soccer definitely helps contribute to being able to pick up jumping rope faster. But now I teach some kids one-on-one with soccer, and I have them all jumping rope. And one thing that in soccer, you should always be on your toes, right? Always ready for the ball, always ready to get to the next play or to the next situation. And a lot of my athletes are starting to get quicker with the ball as well. And a lot of it, I think, comes down to jumping rope because it works your mind-muscle connection. It works that coordination, that rhythm, and that quickness from that foot entering the ground and then expanding off it. So it's paid dividends, that's for sure, with my athletes so far.
You bring up some good points there. I think that you're right. Being prepared when you're on the balls of your feet, you're much more prepared than you are when you're back on your heels. So you're prepared to do a quick movement, like in soccer, football. If you're on the balls of your feet, you've already saved yourself a second or two to get done what you need to get done.
Yeah. So you nailed that right on the head there. And that's what goes with every sport, right? Not just soccer, not just with boxing. So I see jumping rope being much bigger than a sport itself, right? It's a sport that is growing, but it's an activity, an exercise that's going to be huge here. You could see the growth on social media and whatnot, but it's going to continue to grow as more athletes pick it up. And I'm seeing this trend. And I'm super excited to see where it's going to go here in the next year to like 5-10 years. I think it'll be big. And then the other thing too is looking at all the expensive pieces of equipment, right? Not everyone can afford that. Not everyone wants to buy it. But a jump rope, right? It costs what, $10 to cross ropes of $100, whatever it is. But that's still significantly less than an expensive gym membership or what have you, an expensive piece of equipment. So
Yeah.
the future is bright for jump rope. That's for sure.
Oh, it is, man. It's picking up steam. One thing that I wanted to ask you though that just came to my mind is you've been able to get all these skills in such a short amount of time. Have you ever given any thought to getting into the competitive jump rope space?
That's a good question. So actually, I have not yet. No, and I don't think I will want to. For me, jumping rope is kind of just my stress reliever. It's just my daily form of activity. I mean, if the opportunity presented itself and if I found that I could provide value that way, I might do it. But for now, it's just an activity for me to stay in shape and try to influence others to just pick up a jump rope for the first time or for the 100th time, what have you. So that's a great question. I actually haven't put much thought into it. As of right now, no. I would say the answer is no.
Yeah, because I mean, you're still a young guy. You still got a lot of time. An older guy like me, it would be tougher for me to get into it at this stage.
You can do it.
Yeah, I might be able to, man. But a younger guy like you still have some time, man. So that was just something I was wondering, just seeing, because there's you and there's this other guy on that I've talked to before. He was on the Facebook group that I was in. I think it's the Crossroad Facebook group. And I remember, I think his name is John Joe. I don't know if you follow him. That dude,
yeah,
I remember.
Love John Joe.
Oh man, I remember back when he first started, he was asking for advice on double under crossovers. And then maybe 6 months later, I saw him again doing all sorts of crazy stuff. That dude, it's like you and that dude and John Joe learned jump rope so fast that I couldn't believe it. You guys learned these crazy tricks in a year, maybe less, man. It's remarkable.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think he started similar time as I did. I think maybe I started a bit before him. I'm not quite sure, but I definitely gained a lot of inspiration from him. That's for sure. And yeah, like you said, he picks up things super fast, and he's doing really, really advanced things that I can't even fathom doing right now. So yeah, he's a fast learner, and I think a lot of it comes down to past experiences. And now I might have to do more research, but I'm pretty sure he comes from a racquetball background. So he played either pickleball or squash or one of those sports. And same thing with soccer. You need to be very fast on your feet. You need to be on your toes. You need to have good rhythm. You need to be coordinated. So I think a lot of the speed in getting certain skills down comes from that background. And now I know everyone doesn't have that background. And one piece of advice I have for people, and I find myself getting this way as well, is just getting frustrated, right? You can't get a trick the first time, the 10th time, the 20th time, but it's just that consistent daily action of trying to practice it and not getting super frustrated, but using that like mode that you have and using it towards motivation to finally nail that trick. I know some people I coach too now. It's really interesting going from learning all of these things to coaching it is a much different ball game. Things that I picked up quickly, someone else might not. And then they might pick up something that I didn't pick up really fast at all either. So it's kind of interesting to see everyone's progression differently. And like you said, he progressed so fast and some others did as well, but then some others have a more difficult time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the key to that, though, like you're saying, and getting frustrated and just keep going, is to not compare yourself to anybody else. Because like you're saying, you have the background with soccer. John Joe has the background with racquetball or tennis or pickleball or what have you. Everybody has a different path to get where they are today. And if you compare, then what you're doing is you're playing a losing game because you don't know what that person came through. Like I had no idea that you had the soccer background until we started talking. And so everyone comes to it from a different light. So everyone's on their own path.
Yep. No, you make a good point. I love the quote, comparison is the thief of joy. We live in the world that it's kind of keeping up with the Joneses, and this isn't just fitness related, but it's everything, right? And in my mind, and it's whenever I start comparing myself in my mind, that's when I feel at most down. And then also too, it's kind of like in my mind, wasted energy, right? It's wasting your energy because what they or what person A, B, or C has accomplished has nothing to do with you, right? So just stay in your lane, really focus on yourself. Where do you want to go? And don't let anyone else impact that journey. So
well said, man. Well said. We know that fitness is part of the equation, but you're a fit guy. You seem like you have your fitness and health down pretty well. What about the nutrition? What is a normal day of eating look like for you? And do you have any foods that you try to stick to, your go-to foods that you eat on a daily basis?
yeah, so I would say I eat pretty healthy, right? I've tried a lot of different diets out too. So whether it be gluten-free, vegan, all these things. And right now I just eat intuitively. One thing that I do that is a little bit different is I eat when I'm hungry. So in the mornings, I don't really eat breakfast ever. I drink coffee, drink a lot of water, and then around lunchtime, I eat a big salad, and that has a bunch of different vegetables, some protein sources, and a lot of healthy fats. So in the morning, I don't really eat many carbohydrates. And that's nothing in terms of trying to be low carb or trying to do keto or anything like that. It's more so I find my energy is a lot better throughout the day if I do this. And for me, before this, I would get hungry at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, and then I'd get hungry again at lunchtime. Then I'd get hungry again at 3. Now I don't really eat in the morning. I eat a big lunch with healthy fats, and I'm sustained until 7, 8, sometimes even at nighttime. And it's interesting too. So I work an office job, and a lot of people come in and they've already eaten breakfast. So when you eat breakfast, you eat a big carbohydrate meal, you spike your insulin, then it dips, then you need more of that, right? And then they're looking at snacks at 10 o'clock, and the same thing. Then comes lunch, same thing. So I kind of wanted to get out of that habit. And for me, I eat to try to improve my energy. Now at nighttime, I pretty much eat whatever I want. So that looks like pizzas, tacos, whatever it is. I just try to keep it as interesting as possible. I'm more of a savory person versus a sweet. If I do eat sweets, it's like in the form of maybe a smoothie at night. But yeah, I eat whatever really at night, and I eat a lot of calories because I burn a ton of calories working out. So
Yeah, that's good. Eating intuitively, that is what I think a lot of people could use more of, is eating when you're hungry, not when you feel like eating. And I think you hit on some good points there. I do agree with the not eating breakfast. I do the same thing. I found that breakfast is something that there's no proof behind eating breakfast. I think what we're told when we're younger, that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I'm not sure if that's necessarily true. Everybody's different. I know for me, and it sounds like for you too, it's not really the case. So I haven't been doing breakfast since like 2018 when I started the intermittent fasting that I do, and it's made,
yeah,
like you're saying, it's made wonders for me. And then not having a lot of carbohydrates, I also follow what you do as well, especially the refined carbs, because you have that insulin
yeah.
going up, and then you feel so hungry after you eat some refined carbs that you just want to eat again, because it doesn't give you any satiety.
Yeah. So I, like you kind of too, I've been eating this way since like 2017, 2018. And then actually a few months ago, I tried eating more carbs in the morning just to see how my body would react. I was fine the first week. And then the second week, I noticed my energy was terrible. I was like falling asleep at like 8, 8 o'clock at night. And I was like, what's going on with me? Like, I can't even stay up. So for me, I really need that energy focus. And one thing too, in terms of injury prevention, right? So I don't have an ACL in my left knee. I've had a lot of ACL surgeries as well. And one thing that helps me a lot is eating healthy fats. I don't think people understand this enough, but for me, a healthy fats lubricate my joints, make my joints feel good. I notice when I don't eat enough healthy fats, my joints ache everywhere, my elbows, my shoulders, my knees in particular. So when I eat those healthy fats, I feel great. I could jump for 4 hours a day and not get sore. And I think a lot of that does come down to those healthy fats. So I eat a lot of avocados, nuts, seeds, olive oils, and things of that nature.
That's a great point, man. Do you take any fish oil or anything like that?
I actually don't take fish oil, no. I used to, but I kind of don't take a ton of supplements anymore. I do take some Organifi products. So I like their green juice a lot. And I take their protein every now and then just to get my sweet tooth satisfied. And then also too, after a good workout, having a cold like protein shake blended up and whatnot is my treat. It's amazing. So I kind of use it for that. Not necessarily like the benefits of them. I do think that if you have your diet in place and you're eating really well, that supplements are just that. They're just supplementing to your good diet. Do they help? Yeah, they could, but are they everything? No. When I was growing up, like in middle school and high school, I kind of was in that age range where you're really inclined to look at the marketing efforts that companies put out and say, okay, I want to get stronger. I should drink 3 protein shakes a day or whatever it is. And then I stopped eating meals and just did supplements mainly, and that just wrecked me. So I do think just eating a good, healthy diet is what's most important there.
Yeah, I agree with you. Avocados are great. Macadamia nuts, almonds, things of that nature. You're right. And I was only linking the fish oil and the krill oil to lubricating joints. But when you brought in the healthy fats, I realized that that's exactly, I mean, I knew it already, but I made the connection. That's exactly what fish and krill oil are. It's healthy fats. So yeah, you're right. You don't have to take the supplements. They're nice, but that's exactly what they are. If you're getting it from your daily diet, then you're good to go.
Yeah, definitely. So that salad that I was telling you about has a lot of avocados, olive oil, some seeds in there. So it has a ton of healthy fats. And then at dinner time, I always try to maybe throw in an avocado to like whatever it is, a taco recipe or what have you. So I still add healthy fats in there too. Also too, it does bump up the calories too a little bit. So, and it makes you more satisfied as well. If you ate strictly carbs, at least for me, I don't become satisfied. I could eat like 3 bowls of pasta and I'm still hungry, you know. It doesn't make me full.
Yeah, exactly right. I know my wife and I will do, it comes from one of Tim Ferriss's books, where it's the slow carb diet where you go crazy on carbs one day a week. He recommends Saturday, and he says to call it Fatter Day. So that's what we do. And I always, I look forward to it, but I dread it at the same time, because I know that once I start eating the pizza, I'll feel good, and about 30 minutes later, I'll feel like I want to take a long nap, and I don't want to do anything after that.
Yeah.
That's
funny.
Wild, man.
Saturday. I like that. What book is that of Tim Ferriss's?
I think it's in the 4-Hour Body, I believe.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. He coined the term slow carb instead of low carb. He coined the term slow carb. And essentially what it is every 5 or 6 days out of the week, you avoid or you eat very minimal amounts of refined carbohydrates. So no white bread, white rice, candy, nothing like that. But then on Saturday or Sunday or whatever day, he recommends Saturday, you go crazy with the carbohydrates. There's no restriction. So donut, pizza, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. And yeah, one thing that I'm hearing that is, and I know Tim Ferriss is, he likes to experiment with a lot of different things. I'm sure he experimented a ton before he came to that conclusion of that what's works for him. But it might not work for everyone else. And same thing with like what I eat or what you eat. I know some people, if they don't eat a big breakfast, their energy is terrible. So they eat like a big breakfast, a little lunch, and then not much for dinner. So it's kind of opposite. So I guess just whatever floats everyone's boat, and just go about it what works best for you. So.
No, you're exactly right. That's a key point, and I'm glad that you hammered that home, is that you have to find what works for you both in your workouts and in your eating habits. And as soon as you find that, stick with it regardless of what anybody else is saying. So, yeah, it's true, man. You hit it right on the point.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man. So aside from your parents, do you have anybody else, maybe authors or anybody that you look to for inspiration, people who have inspired you to be as motivated as you are?
Yeah, that's a great question. Definitely parents, of course, siblings, for those same reasons. But I would say people that aren't my family. I would say one guy that sticks out is, and I'm sure you know the guy's name, is David Goggins. Just his sheer mentality around working out, around health, around just his overall state is just second to none. And just applying that mentality to things in your life, right? So it doesn't have to be working out, it could be work. So implying embrace the hard things, embrace the things that are challenging, get comfortable being uncomfortable. Those are some daily lessons that I think of every single day that I've heard from him. And I think they've paid dividends in my life. Now I am getting super comfortable with public speaking, for example. I used to hate it, but now I love it. I'm talking to people on the phone all day, going out to talk to audiences. And I love that. That's when I thrive now. And it wasn't until I started really focusing on that and getting comfortable in that uncomfortable state that like really allowed me to grow there. And that has been applied to many different areas of my life. And I know that it has impacted a lot of others too. So.
Oh, that's awesome, man. You got to check out the book Ultra Learning by Scott Young, where there's this guy that he teaches. I think his name was like Tristan Montebello, who became a Toastmaster world champion in like 3 months at public speaking. And it was amazing what he did. But that's awesome that you're doing that with public speaking, because a lot of people are more afraid of public speaking than they are of dying. And people will not talk in public. They just will not do it.
Yeah, those stats are interesting to read. And that's an actual stat too. That's just not, I've read that before, but yeah, no, I actually like Scott Young's work a lot. I read a lot of his stuff on his like email newsletter, so I see his stuff coming in. But yeah, great recommendation there.
Yeah, I finished reading it a couple weeks ago. It was a good one. Just understanding how someone was able to earn an MIT degree in a year was mind-boggling to me, but his thought process and how he attacked the problems and all that was inspiring to me. Yeah, it was great. Yeah,
that's awesome. You seem to be a big reader, huh?
Yeah. I try to read at least like an hour a day, sometimes more.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your all-time favorite book?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think, oh man, Principles by Ray Dalio is always going to be one of my favorites. That's just a great book. The way that he simply breaks down how to be successful in life he does it unlike any other. It's unlike any other book I've read. I'm trying to think of some others, man. I think the other one that comes to mind, just because I'm into personal finance, is Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. That book changed the way that I look at finances for the better. And everybody thinks that Tony Robbins is this guru that people worship and all that, but I don't think he is. He's just a guy that helps people out. And that book helped me tremendously get more financially literate. Yeah.
Awesome. I'm going to have to read those too. Thanks for the recommendation.
Yeah, dude, the money, especially you being younger, I'm sure you have your personal finances squared away, but that book, the way he explains everything, and he basically what he does is he brings in all these experts and just asks them. And that's how I heard about Ray Dalio, was in that book. And then I picked up Principles. So it opened up a whole bunch of doors, man. And Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, that's probably one of the best books I've read. And that's a great book about a guy who was survived Auschwitz, survived a concentration camp, and then founded the logotherapy psychiatric approach to life. So basically finding going and finding your meaning in life is what he founded. Yeah, that's a great book. Yeah, I could
Oh,
go
that's
on for
awesome.
on about books, man. I can send you like my Goodreads list if you'd like, man, and
Oh
we can
yeah,
trade it. Yeah.
I would love that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
man.
awesome.
Yeah, this
Thanks.
stuff like this is what it's all about, connecting. This is why the jump rope community is great, connecting with people. Because if you have like-mindedness in the way of fitness, then you'll probably have like-mindedness in the way. If you're attacking your fitness the way you're attacking your fitness, then you're probably attacking life in the same way you're attacking your fitness. So it's always good to find like-minded folks. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that's why the jump rope community is so cool, is because of how close everyone is and how encouraging everyone is too. And one of the coolest experiences was I was going to Chicago a few months ago, and there are two individuals that jump rope a lot in Chicago. So I reached out to them saying, "Hey, can we jump rope together?" And they were like, "Of course, yeah. Come down to Michigan Avenue. We'll jump in front of the Bean in Millennium Park." And
Nice.
then a jump roper from Canada came down to meet us, and then a jump roper from North Carolina came up, and it was just a jump rope party, and we had a great time. There are people walking around that stopped. I would say at least 20 people stopped and asked us questions, started jumping rope with us, and that really opened my eyes to the whole community aspect of the jump rope world. And really made me happy that I picked up a rope in the first place, because it wouldn't have been possible if I never jumped rope. So super
Yeah.
thankful.
Yeah, that's a great point, man. It's a great point. It's good. It's always good to connect with folks, and then you can pass it along to other people, because at the end of the day, it is a tool to get your fitness to where you want it to be, which is awesome. And then there's so many other benefits that come with it, like being able to connect and talk with people, trade ideas, and things of that nature. So it's great. You're exactly right. So I got one more question for you. If you had any advice to give to somebody who is just starting with jump rope and just starting on their fitness journey, what would you tell them?
I'll start off with my favorite quote. It's super simple: hard work works. So if jump rope is your thing and you want it to be your thing, and if you're interested, and if your goal is to get better at jumping rope or just to get in better shape from jumping rope, it's just being consistent. Picking a goal and staying laser focused on that goal, staying in your lane, and just really practicing and grinding out the hours, right? There's no secrets to success. The only secret there is just hard work and practice. So hard work works.
Mm. Oh, that's fantastic. The effort is a choice and hard work works. I hadn't heard it phrased like that before. So those are two things among many other things, but those are two things I'm definitely taking away from this conversation, Billy. I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is great. It's been great getting to talk to you, and look forward to our next time that we could chat. So
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate you coming on to the show and everything that you're doing to promote jump rope, and more importantly, everything that you're doing to serve a cause that's bigger than yourself, a noble cause that's bigger than yourself. So for one, I do appreciate that, and I thank you for doing that.
thank you very much. Appreciate you.
All right, take care, man. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for taking the time to listen to this episode. Much respect for Billy for coming on to the podcast and sharing his advice, knowledge, and wisdom about fitness, nutrition, and jump rope. If you want to follow Billy, you can check him out on Instagram at Billy_Werner. You can also check out his Etsy store where he sells his Jump for More jump ropes. I have one, and so far I am enjoying it tremendously. Thanks a lot for your support. I appreciate it. Until next time, stay safe, stay healthy, jump rope to freedom. Peace. Thanks for your support.